Biden, why can't you close your mouth? Biden, just close your mouth, please. He's anti-mewing.
They knew about this issue.
They've raised $500 million, billion dollars, I should say, in a 10-year period.
No, he wouldn't.
Right, wipe out his debt.
What? Bro, what is my country? What is happening?
Russia from going in.
How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties?
Okay.
For molesting a woman in public.
Oh!
A range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant. You have the morals of an alley cat.
What?
I didn't have sex with a porn star.
Oh no! We've entered Twitch debate territory.
They moved a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. Do you notice he never took out...
Based.
What do you think?
This is pure cinema.
Covering the debate tonight?
Yeah, we'll be watching it. I think I can watch it on Kick because I won't get DMCA'd.
Gotcha. What would the consequences of that be, out of curiosity? Because I've not had a copyright strike. Is it like channel deletion or a ban?
You know what? Hold on. I'm not doing this for you. You need to turn your mic up. Figure it out. I'm keeping you at 100.
What about now?
Okay, turn it down like 20%.
There's no pleasing you. What about now?
Okay, good enough.
All right, thank you.
What would be the consequences if you get an active copyright strike?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
Because like I was gonna
listen to me.
it, so,
Listen to me real quick, okay? If you ever have questions about this, come to me. Trust no one else, because people talk a lot of shit, and streamers are functionally retarded when it comes to stuff like this, even though it directly implicates their jobs and their livelihoods. Okay.
That's precisely why I'm coming to you.
Good.
I know
Okay.
that you have all the answers.
Now,
you are my great sage, my oracle.
I could be wrong on this because these processes get changed and they update. So just take what I'm saying with a slight grain of salt, but do not let somebody contradict me unless they have firsthand experience. Not they heard it from somebody, or whatever, and they're not retarded. Because some people can have firsthand experience, but they're still retarded, so it doesn't matter. Okay. So generally speaking, there are 2.5 to 3 ways for stuff to get content ID'd. Okay. One way that it can happen is, well, let me be more clear. Content ID is a system in which YouTube has a massive database of stuff that it doesn't want anybody else to put on YouTube because somebody has registered it with them. And what will happen is if you're live streaming, I don't know if you've ever live streamed on YouTube, but if you have, maybe you'll notice in the bottom left, a little thing will pop up and it'll say, copyrighted content detected. Stop it or we're going to shut your stream off. You're like, oh, okay.
No, I've never seen that. Okay, so it's some sort of pop-up?
Yeah,
okay.
it'll say it below on your studio thing, below your video, where it says excellent connection. That'll be replaced with a warning message and a yellow bubble instead of a green bubble, okay?
Oh, shit. Okay.
Now, if you upload a YouTube video and you upload it all and it goes through and it's fine, and you get an email saying, warning, your video has been content ID matched. That's not a copyright strike. It means that you matched something that was added to the database, and now you're either going to lose the revenue from that video, or it's just letting you know, or some other bullshit, and maybe some countries won't let you display it, okay?
Yeah, now that I've seen in real time in studio, like it gets caught in like the check section, and it's like, hey, listen, this is going to be either completely demonetized because of some sort of claim. You can still play the video, but you make no money from it.
Correct, yeah.
So that I've had before.
Okay. So when you're live streaming, this can happen. When you upload things, it can happen, okay? Now, that's like the auto ID system. Now, in the second part, we call these copyright strikes colloquially. I don't think that's what people call them. You have manual claims, okay? Now, manual claims are a big deal because a manual claim can involve somebody clicking buttons, filing something on the forums with YouTube about your content. And when they do that, it can be a takedown where they're saying, take this down and tell this person that, like, I don't want them to have my shit up ever. They fucked up. And YouTube will give you a copyright strike. A copyright strike, unless they've changed the process, usually means on your first one, I don't think you get a warning. I know you get one warning for community guidelines violation. I don't know if you do for copyright ones. If you do, then the first one's just a warning and it's okay. But if it's not, then the first one, you'll be banned from streaming or uploading, I believe, for 1 week. And that strike will stay on your account for 90 days. If you accumulate 3 of these strikes, the second strike is worse. I don't think you can stream or upload for 2 weeks. If you accumulate 3 of these strikes, your channel is permanently shut down, lost to the abyss. You'll never get it back ever. Now, I believe that somebody also, when they're filing a copyright strike, a manual one, they can also request that you take it down and give you a grace period to do that. Or they might be able to revenue claim, and then you can either acquiesce to that or fight it. But yeah, be careful for the manual copyright strikes, because I think they have the option to just like you there with the push of a button, and you'd have to fight it to not be. But
Can like a third party narc on another party's behalf? So like if we live stream, like if I were to take the risk and live stream the CNN stuff, could someone in your audience who hates my guts like file some sort of copyright claim with YouTube?
maybe. I don't talk too much about that because I don't want to give people guidelines, but theoretically,
All right, fair enough.
I will say that when you fill out the DMCA form on YouTube, you are generally you're generally attesting under penalty of perjury that this is who you are. And I mean, technically, I don't know if I'd say you're breaking the law if you lie on that form, but you could get in trouble because if the person counterclaims, then this thing would simply go away. But yeah.
Well,
no, you're
I mean,
legally impersonating somebody else. I think you probably could get in trouble for that, legal trouble, if the other party that you're impersonating decides to sue you or something. But yeah.
Fair. Well, we saw with Hunter Biden what happens if you falsify information on a form. So you go to jail for the rest of your life.
Only when it comes to marijuana, though, and crack cocaine.
True.
Yeah.
True. Well, listen, buddy. I know I know you were abroad. I know there's still a lot of Israel-Palestine stuff to go over, but big deal tonight. This presidential debate. Well, how do you feel about it? Who do you think's going to win? Give me your thoughts.
I have no idea. I don't know how it's going to go. I mean, the rules are going to make it. I like that the last time I complained about debates, I said there should be no audiences because people's minds are legitimately influenced by hearing people clap. Like it makes a difference. And having a live audience, I think, makes it so that you're playing a little bit more of this entertaining thing rather than trying to be like factual or substantive. If Trump tries to do any of those like really witty one-liners, I think it's going to fall very flat, and I think it's going to be very strange, and it's going to feel very out of place. So he's doing that without a live audience in front of him. So I like the fact that they've gotten rid of the audience. I think that they got rid of they're muting mics for answers as well, right?
Yeah. So my understanding is, so no live audience. If the other person if one person's speaking, the other person's mic is automatically muted. And what's interesting is initially I was like really happy about those rules because to your point, I think it would at least increase the likelihood that the debates, become more substantive.
Yeah.
But now, okay, let me throw you an alternate theory, which I'm being told is the case, is that this will actually benefit Trump because for precisely the reason you just said, it will actually force Trump to engage on policy and substance. Now, I'm thinking he's incapable of that. So
that's what I think.
Yeah. But basically that he is less inclined to be an asshole if there's no audience to appeal to, and that will make him seem more presidential. I don't
know if he has it in him anymore. I'm not sure. He is a bit more wacky now. Like he has degraded compared to what he was. My time is destroying my. It's 8 years ago is when he first became president, right? 2016. Yeah, he definitely has like slowed down, and he is different than he used to be. So I don't know if he has the ability to come on and do like a super serious conversation like that. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm. Or go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
I feel like maybe I'm wrong and maybe I'll be wrong, but I feel like conservatives have no platform right now. I truly don't know what the average conservative stands for. I know what they kneel for, which is Trump, but I don't know. I have no idea at all what the policy positions are of an average conservative now, other than like don't buy Budweiser and be anti-woke. And yeah, I have no clue.
Well, and again, that president should have absolute God immunity, stuff like that.
Only for Trump. Only for Trump. Not the president. Only you said the president. That's not true. Well, it might be true because they want to make Trump president forever somehow. But yeah.
Well, if you ever end up having another conversation with Ben Shapiro, that'd be a good thing to bring up because he actually literally wrote a book in 2014, I think it was, about prosecuting President Obama. And so now it's like, okay, Ben, it's been 10 years and you're backing, Trump now. Has your position on this changed? Is only Trump entitled to absolute presidential immunity? Do you concede, your earlier position on this?
I have Trump. The problem is Ben Shapiro you watch me. Yeah, Ben Shapiro he's too good for me. He mind so hard. I had so much of a debate ready for that and you gave me that idea too. You on this because we were talking in the car about that. You were like, you need to really push. Does he grade Trump on a curve? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I need to focus a lot of this. And so I had a whole line of argumentation to go down there on all the differences between how you treated Trump versus Biden. And when I brought that up, like, do you think that you grade Trump on a curve? And he's like, yeah, I do. And I was like, oh shit. Oh shit. Wait,
he flat out owned it.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to say yes to that. You had to fight on that. Wait, what do you mean? You treat him wait, what the So I don't even know what I could say, and he might just own it again. It's like, yeah, I actually don't believe in any of that anymore because I actually think that Trump is really important for the United States. Like, oh well, fuck me.
Yeah. When he was like, Steven, I don't hold my 10-year-old at the same standard that I hold my 6-year-old, and you were like, well, how about we treat him like the president of the United States, who's not a 6 or a 10-year-old? And he literally, if you ever go back and watch, I don't know if you actually watched conversation, you were looking down at your pen and paper, you were doodling penises, I think.
Face.
And he was, when you were talking, he literally visibly reacted to you saying, how about we treat him like an adult who was the president of the United States? And he gave this like face, like, why the f do we do that? It was the most stunning conversation, I think, between Ben Shapiro and anybody I've ever seen. But the other things I want to point out to you is that with these like debate rules, there are also no notes. That's something else. Like they
Do
can't
people normally take notes? Oh, like they can't bring notes with them?
Correct. Right. So they can't bring notes with them, and they can't confer with their advisors like on commercial breaks and stuff like that. I didn't realize that was a thing, but apparently in all other previous debates, that the candidates could like when they cut to commercial, they could run off to the sides of the stage and be like, holy fuck, what I forgot about this about the economy or this about, foreign policy, and then like get a quick primer. They can't do that. They have to stay at the podiums.
Sure. I mean, I guess, but like, I don't feel like Trump knows anything about anything. I legitimately, this is always a challenge to go to conservatives throughout all of like 2016 to 2020. Like, no one ever like rose to actually meet this challenge. It was a question like, can you show me one video of Trump talking where he sounds like somewhat intelligent about an issue related to being the president of the United States, where it seems like he really knows what he's talking about? I've never seen a single video of him speaking like he has a comprehensive understanding of everything going on. He speaks in slogans. The man lives and dies in buzzwords and catchphrases. So, but I mean, like, you'll probably just do the same tonight.
Yeah, I think the thing that I keep going back to, which is why I sent you a link to Piers Morgan's latest pro-Trump, anti-Biden panel, which you should check out. It is crazy. The persistent demand that we grade Trump on a curve, like it does go back to the Shapiro thing, but mainstream media is guilty of this too. Like the thing is, and this is true, this debate tonight, even if Trump doesn't know anything about the substance, which he's demonstrated in 2020 and 2016, it's Trump, so he's treated differently. If Biden shits the bed, metaphorically speaking, on substance or policy, he'll lose the debate. Is there any way, do you think, when it comes to Trump, to force people to reckon with the asymmetry? Like I'm in my on my channel's content, I'm like, this is something we have to fight constantly. Like, you tried to do this on Piers Morgan, Mehdi Hassan has as well. Like, hey, stop grading this motherfucker on a curve. If we're going to question mental fitness, then we should question both their mental fitness, given that they're both really old, they're both gaffe machines, and the polls show that a majority of Americans have doubts about Trump too.
Yeah,
it's not just Biden.
You can do that, but you have to be very cognizant then that the people that you're aiming for, are very much like independents and people in the middle. You're never going to see this in Trump's audience. There's nothing you can do to make a conservative care about any factual analysis of the world. The ship has sailed on that. They don't give a more. So you're never like pulling his hardcore fans or any of the people talking about it, talking about Trump away from him. You're aiming for people that are in the middle that aren't like talking much online. It's very, very difficult to do that. Like, and when I say people in the middle, I mean actually people in the middle, not people that call themselves centrists who are squarely conservative through and through, or at least squarely like infinitely supporting Donald Trump through and through. So yeah, it's difficult. You can't really fight them. Like the best way that Biden could win a debate against Donald Trump in the eyes of a conservative would be to have wittier one-liners. That would be the way to do it. Like that's it. But
do you consider, because I don't know the last like truly independent person that you talked to or debated with, but do you consider Morgan an independent, or do you consider him like
Piers Morgan?
Yeah.
He's a newscaster guy, hoster for me. I don't even know legitimately what his opinions on anything are. That's not an insult or anything. I just don't know. I don't know if he has strong stance on it.
Would he and his platform, I suppose, be a place where you would, I guess, kind of fight that asymmetry? Like I know you just said, you're not going to move any Republicans or conservatives over on.
I wouldn't fight to demonstrate the asymmetry. I think I would fight to try to demonstrate the importance of the asymmetry. It wouldn't be me trying to convince people that Biden is smarter than Trump. It would be me trying to convince people that the fact that Biden is smarter than Trump is important and we should care about that, because I don't think people care about that. So when you move on to the next part, you're already like presupposing a care for this particular thing. Fair.
I do think it's a pain in the ass, and I'm on his ass all the time. I'm trying to get him to have you or Beasley or Mehdi Hassan. That'd be my dream. If you could somehow make that happen, the final boss of Piers Morgan panels would be two Trumpers versus you and Mehdi Hassan on Biden, because I've noticed with all the panels, he never actually gets an enthusiastic Biden supporter on. And I suppose Mehdi Hassan isn't, but he will die on the hill that Biden is just objectively better than Trump. Like the panel I just sent you, He's got Joe Walsh, who is a former Republican congressman who's kind of like he'll shit talk Biden, but he thinks Trump is worse. And then Francesca Fiorentini, who's really funny. She's a female comedian of like the Bituation Room or whatever. She's like a Young Turks affiliate, but she hates Biden too because of Gaza and Israel. So she kind of does like the Cenk Uygur thing where she'll probably back him more than Trump, but like he never gets on people who are as pro-Biden as the pro-Trump guest that he has. I feel like that's fishy. Like he doesn't want to like an even terrain on this. And I feel like that's a lot of case.
Well, I don't know if it's that he doesn't want an even terrain so much as it's hard to find people that are in this media sphere that are like enthusiastically pro-Biden. Like it feels like even if you're a liberal, if you're a progressive, you hate everybody. But even a lot of liberals seem to just throw Biden under the bus. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. They did actually ask me to do a show tomorrow morning. I just responded to that. Thanks for reminding me. So hopefully I'll be on that.
Yes. They tell you what it's about.
We're doing a big post-debate segment on Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time.
He teased that. Well, he didn't mention you by name, but he did say that they were reaching out to people for like a big post-debate thing. So that's fucking awesome. That's good.
Yeah.
Some other things just want to bring to your attention. They still have not ruled on the Trump immunity thing. That we'll either hear about that tomorrow or sometime.
We'll get the ruling tomorrow, or what do you mean we'll hear about that tomorrow?
Yeah, so traditionally, and I don't think there's any like rule for this, and Pisco can fact check me, but I'm 99% sure I'm right. There is no rule which says that the Supreme Court has to provide verdicts or rulings for cases that they hear in the same term. Like in theory, I think they can like drag it out for months and months and months. But there's the speculation is that we will get the ruling. We're supposed to get the ruling by the end of the term, which was supposed to be tomorrow. And now they've dragged it out until early next week. So people are saying that we will finally get the ruling on the immunity case, but it still hasn't happened yet. And so, again, I ask you, how confident are you that they're going to kind of shut down Trump's claims of immunity, or do you think they're going to try to throw him a bone?
I mean, I have no idea. I feel like it's impossible that they would allow that to stand. That just seems like one of the most unbelievable ahistoric approaches to the powers of the president that I could ever imagine. So, but I don't know. Maybe there's some like legal thing that I am missing or I don't understand. What were you saying?
Would you ever entertain the notion of any presidential immunity? Because they granted it for Nixon, right? Or excuse me, they granted civil immunity during the Nixon case in like 1970. Like basically,
wait, can you explain that? What do you mean?
Yeah, so my understanding is that you can't like a citizen can't sue a president, any president, not just Nixon, for anything that falls within what they call the outer perimeter of their office. So if the president does something that like as a policy that inconveniences you or whatever, whereas you might have grounds to civilly sue somebody, you can't do it for the president.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, that makes some sense though. Yeah.
Right.
Would you, civil side.
What about criminal liability? Would you ever accept anything?
There's got to be some baked in immunities already for that, would be my guess. There has to be.
I don't think there is so far because there's never been an actual attempt to prosecute a president. I mean, Nixon was the only one where it was even considered, and President Ford pardoned him preemptively. I think.
Oh no, wait. I'm sorry. Hold on. Oh, wait. I'm so sorry. Can you ask me your question again?
Yeah. So, would you ever accept any level of immunity from criminal liability for a president?
No, I don't think so.
Once they leave office. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Because criminal stuff is always going to have the mens rea component, and the president should never be committing crimes like that. There's just no reason in the purview of being a president for that. Why you'd be committing those crimes.
Yeah, that's my position. But a lot of people are saying that they're going to try to strike a balance, that they're not going to adopt the full, absolute sovereign immunity approach that Trump's team is taking, nor are they going to grant special counsel's position that there's no immunity whatsoever, that you have to have there has to be some areas where the president is not criminally liable. But I don't see why that would be the case because, to your point, it's not like, I understand, isn't it criminal conviction, like beyond all reasonable doubt? Like you try to make that case. So like the burden's pretty high anyway.
The burden's extremely high, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like, people say, well, it'll just open up a can of worms. People are going to sue, previous presidents. And it's like that hasn't...
Suing people talk about suing people.
Going to prosecute previous presidents, but that hasn't happened. Again, even with Nixon, he was never actually prosecuted.
Well,
so I still feel like there
was a concern that he would be, though, and I believe at the time the understanding was that he could be, and I believe that's one of the reasons why he was pardoned.
But I guess what I'm saying is, if they rule that there's no immunity, do you think that the conservative prophecy that this is just going to trigger a tit for tat prosecution? Do you think that will happen?
No.
Like it will open the floodgates?
No, I think that's ridiculous. I think it's by a bunch of people that don't understand the law. What are the crimes? People get mad at me when I say this. When people are like, oh, Bush should be charged for war crimes. Obama should be charged for war. What crimes?
That's the one. What crimes say he drone struck
Yeah.
an American citizen in the Middle East.
What's the crime?
What the particulars were.
You need to point to a crime that we're talking about here. Are we going to say that like it was a murder? Yeah, like right. No, this is ridiculous. No, I think it's absolutely fucking absurd. And again, this is the United fucking States of America. Okay, like one of the very few shared values that we should have as citizens is that no individual is above the law. You know, even in the England and everything, the Magna Carta and all this shit. No kings. Nobody is above the law. Nobody's above the law. The idea that the United States president would be the first one, like in this realm of democracy, to rise above all criminal law would just be one of the most hilariously ironic ways for the United States to begin its downward tumble. It would just be insane.
Who do you think is going to win the election? Final question.
I think Biden will. I still think so, but anything can happen. We'll see.
God, I love your optimism. I'm too much of a cynic. But last time I was pretty cynical on an election. IRI proved me wrong, and the red wave never manifested. But good. Anything else going on? Are you back in the States like for like a long stretch, or are you going to be traveling again?
Nope, I'm back here for a while. Yeah, probably through the election at least, I would imagine. Or I don't have any plans to travel, at least not out of the country right now. So
awesome. All right, buddy. Listen, you enjoy the rest of your day. And I'm telling you, if you get bored, that Piers Morgan panel, pretty fun. You should watch it and criticize it and react to it.
Keep it in mind. All right.
All right, buddy. See ya.
That tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue back into our country.
What are we even talking about here? It feels like both of them are trying to answer as much as possible in like 2 minutes.
They've raised $500 million, billion dollars, I should say, in a 10-year period.
No, he wouldn't.
Right, wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do.
Right
we need that emote of this face.
Now, the state, follow your heart, but you have to get elected also, and because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected.
True.
The problem they have is they're radical because they will
what is happening?
take the life of a child.
You don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying, including
there was a good point buried somewhere in there.
Murdered. What's he going to do? In fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board at 6 weeks, something very, very conservative. I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
No, let him talk. No, let Trump. Oh, no. I wanted to hear his answer there. Biden's funny because of how he says it. Trump is funny for what he says. It's the dynamic duo. Go ahead and just close your mouth, please. He's anti-mewing. Bro, what is my country? What is happening?
Russia from going in.
Thanks.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous.
Okay.
It's simply a lie.
Okay.
Number one.
Nice.
Number two.
Take it slow.
The idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong.
Okay.
Simply wrong. No president.
Oh my God.
Like that.
We're doing a whole list.
No president in our history has spoken like that.
Do three. Okay.
Number three. The crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties?
Okay.
For molesting a woman in public.
Oh!
A whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant. I mean,
okay.
What are you talking about? you have the morals of an alley cat.
What?
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that
oh
was a case
no!
that was started and moved.
We've entered Twitch debate territory.
They moved a...
This is a guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are.
Ooh, okay, better.
That's what he said.
Slogans, yes, that's good.
No sense of American democracy.
Okay, yes. He's pulling it back.
Trump.
Slogans.
Jake, we saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows. His own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time.
Damn.
His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why?
Damn,
Why?
that's
They know
pretty
him
bad.
well.
Focus on that.
Why are they not endorsing
Focus.
him?
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to
Let him answer that. I wanted to hear Trump's answer to that.
Debate.
Bro.
He just has to make it until when? November?
Yeah.
That's all he has to do is make it till November, okay? I believe in his ability to stay alive. That's all that matters.
Like, somebody needs to hold up a sign somewhere, clear your fucking throat. I feel like that's like 50% of the problem. I don't even know how he doesn't hear.
Well, it could also be that that's just his voice because he's like 97 years old.
I don't know. Like he usually like clears, I don't know, like 4 tablespoons of phlegm.
He might have.
mid-sentence.
Maybe he has COVID. Maybe he's debating through COVID right now.
Oh, all right. What do you think so far? Real talk.
I mean, it's a meme debate. I don't know. Biden. I think that most people are just going to take away from this like the timbre of Biden's voice, which sounds pretty bad. It sounds like when he tries to answer a question, it sounds like he's trying to say way too much. Whereas like when Trump answers questions, like it sounds like this. Okay, so the question is like how are we going to improve schools? And then Biden's answer is like, well, we're gonna all the textbooks are gonna come out, and we're gonna have every teacher is gonna get a raise for $48,000.
The idea.
Yeah, and it's like he's like trying to run down like his whole platform in his head. Whereas like for Trump, it's like, how are we gonna improve schools? And Trump's like, let me tell you something. Joe Biden had more U.S. servicemen killed in Afghanistan on his pullout than have ever died in any American war in all of history. Right, and he's a loser. And it's like, that's like it's like, what? I don't even know what the fuck we're listening to right now. And that's basically it.
Yeah, it's been painful so far. But you know what? I will say, historically, incumbent presidents don't do well in their first debates. Obama, everyone said he was a
I don't think there's
debater.
any precedent. I think we're in uncharted waters, my friend. I don't know if there's any precedent that we can appeal to right now.
All I'm going to say is you better keep your appointment tomorrow with Pierce to defend this.
I mean, they haven't responded back to me, so it's basically just going to be a bunch of people saying like, okay, well, let's ignore the substance of the entire conversation, just talk about how they sound, and that's going to be the whole combo. That's it. So,
oh God. All right. Well, I'm watching you watch it because I have a very low like secondhand embarrassment threshold. So like I have this. It's a struggle, bro. It really is. So anyway,
don't worry. He's just waking up. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Round 2. All right, talk to you soon.
Do you think this will have a major impact on elections? I think historically, I don't know if it was Nate Silver or just 538 published that debates often have zero impact on elections, is what they've reported in the past. I don't know if that was true or not, but I also don't know if that'll be true in this election, because I feel like everything about like our recent elections, I don't know how well trends predict anything, because that's also something that 538 fought, so I have no idea. Who knows? Welcome back to the CNN president. Historically known, this is the earliest debate ever. I don't know. Let's talk
about persistence. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All you had to do was leave it alone.
He's low-key cooking. Yeah, what, on the flame on 1 out of 10? He just needs to pick like 1 or 2 talking points instead of trying to like rattle off every fact.
He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. But do you notice he never took out
Base.
What are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment?
Why is it funny? Is that not true?
Jake, we were doing very well.
He didn't answer the question
until the COVID came along.
How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, you can see I conserve all my brain power for being the president.
Spent half my career.
I don't waste any of it on talking.
Criticized being the youngest person.
What did you think about that, Destiny? What do you think?
This is pure cinema.
Isn't it?
Bro,
did you see how Trump is like abusing the rule set?
Okay.
Bro.
What?
See how he's abusing the rule set of the debate, and he's talking way more than fucking Biden?
Oh, you mean by not answering a question and getting to respond more or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. I haven't kept track of the talking time, but...
Because whenever he answers when the other guy's talking, he hijacks his time, then does it his response time without actually answering it, and then they give him more time because he didn't answer the question. Dude, he's tripling his time, 2.5x. It's insane.
Sure. I mean, Biden could do it too, but at this point, it's probably better. Biden doesn't talk that much, but...
Yeah, it's why I didn't agree with like the mute thing. I feel like you should have like a human element to letting them talk and not talk, than having this like bullshit cut off. Because now they're like almost forced to like give him his time or more time. It's kind of odd.
I mean, like I understand it though. They want to make them not a spectacle rather than having people just like screaming at each other and going for quips. But at this point, these two individuals live in completely separate realities. So.
Yeah, I mean, Trump is not. He's talking about other shit. Like he queued the wrong game mode. He's literally talking about other shit the entire time.
Yeah, kind of. I guess Biden sounds like a nervous high school debater who's trying to fit in like every single particular fact he has about a particular point. And Trump and the people that support Trump generally just live kind of like in an emotional world. And as long as Trump like hits the right emotional notes, like
True.
it always feels like he's giving a really good answer to everything. He just has to keep like basically playing the same song. But Biden is like, I think Biden on his answers, he just needs to focus on like one or two things and just like hammer that home and then stop trying to fit in like every talking point. Yeah, I think. Because it's the problem is like nobody cares about policy in these debates. They just want to hear you sound good and sound strong.
Yeah. He's getting like 50% result on like everything, and he's not getting it to the finish line on anything, right?
Basically, yeah, I think.
That's kind of what I kind of felt about it. Also, with Trump, it's like whenever he squeezes most of his time to answer the old question and whatever, they give him very little time to answer the new question. And if it's a tough one, he just goes blah 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 blah. Yeah, no. I'm the best in this. They love me in that, and that's the end of that question. Like, it's
yeah, but that's
insane.
all his supporters want to hear. So I mean, it's
Yeah,
smart
I
for
know.
him. Like that's who he's appealing to. That's what they want to hear. Yeah, he won't answer. He doesn't need to answer any tough questions though. So, yeah. But I think that I think you have to realize that you're playing in two different worlds, and then you have to respond to your audience and stop trying to, I guess, like debate the other one or whatever. And Trump is doing a good job of that, and Biden is just. He's ghost walking his way through this conversation.
Well, also his nonverbal is complete dog shit.
Oh, you mean the crazy faces?
His faces, his reactions, his whatever. Like I know this is not like people don't look into that much. But it's just
they might. I don't
the
know.
look of his eyes, the shape of his eyes are. He always looks like he's pity and he's losing. He looks like he's losing just because of his face. It's insane.
Yeah, I don't know, man. There's just some keynote facial expressions. Why does it matter if he signals to his audience? What benefit does that give him? He already has them. Because you're trying to turn out voters. You're trying to get people to go and show up at the polls and vote.
Is that GG?
Think it's over. People keep asking about swapping up with Newsom. I don't think they can swap. I just don't think that. I don't know if Biden can do anything besides dying that would force them to swap the candidate. I feel like it would be such a shakeup. I think you would just instantly lose like some huge percentage of your voter base. It would just be like, or maybe it would be like super. I feel like Kamala would be better. No, I don't think so. I think Kamala would be deeply divisive. She's both black and a woman. I don't think, and she's also, I think, quite progressive. I think more so than Biden is. I don't think that Kamala would be it. I just don't think she's like the way. But yeah, I don't think that Newsom. I just don't think they can do a swap at this point. I don't think they ever could have. You're locked in really hard to your incumbent. It's pretty rough. But I think not being able to communicate is just horrible for Biden. Yeah, it's definitely a problem. Although I'm not sure sometimes if I think you can work around his communication issues. He just needs to be more, I think that if he modifies the strategy, I think his communication can be sufficient for what he needs to do. All he needs to do is just focus on a few key points and then hammer that home. Instead of he's trying to answer so much in these questions. He doesn't need to do that. Nobody gives a Nobody that's voting for Trump has ever changed their mind because of a fact, okay? Just find your 1 or 2 points to hammer home and just focus on that. There were a few answers where he gave it and he just focused on one. He was like, yeah, just do that. That's it. That's all you need to do. Who cares? Nobody cares about the fucking numbers. Nobody cares about any of that shit. Just focus on a couple of good talking points and then do that. Because that's all Trump does. Yeah, I think that'd be a better strategy. Has he sounded this week recently? Sounded? No. He's either sick now or he's on his death's bed. How can you tell a sitting president, close your mouth when you're not talking so you don't look half dead? I don't know. You just say it. Listen. We just have to drag his body over the finish line.
You got to remember that he wasn't allowed to confer with his staff at all. So somebody...
What do you mean? Or what does that have to do with anything?
So he part of the conditions was that at no point could Biden speak with his staff. So somebody who would have told him, close your fucking mouth and clear your throat, they literally...
Sure. But I mean, also, he should just be aware of this for stage presence stuff, right?
Of course. I dipped out 10 minutes after you and I spoke. How did the rest of it go? Any better?
I think in 2 weeks, most people will have forgotten, hopefully.
Yeah.
Let's go for that.
Yeah,
one.
So what's interesting is I don't know at this point if there's really any compelling data that presidential debates like flip the needle.
No, in the past they said they
election.
haven't, but also like everything about all these elections is becoming more and more detached from like reality, right? Because how many times were people saying like, oh, like if you win these 7 states or if you have this 1 or 2 things, or like what actually, even for the last primary that Biden won, wasn't it something like, no, am I making this up? But like, oh, if you don't win both these primaries, you've got like a 1% chance or some bullshit for Iowa and New Hampshire. And he either lost both or he lost Iowa or some bullshit because it was Bernie and Buttigieg or some shit. But like, I don't know how much these things matter. You know, like we haven't had that many presidential elections. We haven't had that many in recent history. It's once every 4 years. The events aren't that common. I don't know if like saying, you know, like, oh, historically debates have had no impact. That might be true, but these might, you know, so it's hard to say.
Well, and also, I mean, there are other things about this one that make it an anomaly. The fact that, you know, you have an incumbent, but Trump is effectively a quasi-incumbent as well. That's, you know, we haven't seen that in either ever or since like Grover Cleveland.
One time,
yeah, tried to run again. Yeah, I think the next couple of weeks are going to be really, really painful for all of us. I mean, I try to be Biden's strongest soldier, but I said from the beginning I didn't know how he would do in this debate because I'm a cynic by nature. And I've even said on Twitter, I'm like, based on what I saw, he shit the bed here, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, but it's like a coin flip because like sometime apparently his appearance on curly-haired guy Howard Stern was pretty good. Mm-hmm. But I didn't even watch that, so I don't know.
Yeah, so no, it was excellent. But to be fair, that was also like some people I saw on Twitter were like, "What the hell happened between this and State of the Union Biden?" But you got to remember, I mean, State of the Union, he's reading off a teleprompter, and the stakes I think are actually lower for a State of the Union address compared to a presidential debate. It's more flexible. The Howard Stern appearance was excellent.
But also for this, like I said, like I don't know how much there were the things where he froze up are bad, but on the answers where he didn't freeze up, he was just like trying to say every single fucking word that he could about an issue. Like he just needed like pick like 2 or 3 things, bro. You don't have to go down like your entire party's platform. Like Jesus Christ, like that wasn't a teleprompter issue or a stutter issue. It was just like just stop, just pick like 2 things and focus on it. But
he was just rambling. Like yeah, that's the thing. It's like, you know, after what 50, 60 years of public service, it's almost like he felt that every answer or every question was like an opportunity to recite, you know, basically cram 50 years of experience into a 2-minute answer. And I actually think he did some of his best work when he didn't take all of the time. You know, I think there were a couple of times I saw where Tapper's like, you got 40 seconds left. It's like, no, please just move on to Trump for the love of God. But I don't know. It's definitely going to be painful for the next couple of weeks. And I don't, to your point though, when I popped in, I'd be stunned if he drops out. I really would. I mean,
I just don't think the thing. It's just Newsom is it's California. It would be a new candidate coming in. Like it would be such a shakeup. I mean, I say that I maybe theoretically could turn the other way. It's like, oh my God, everybody's like so excited because it's so unprecedented. So many people go out to vote. But I think it's like such a risky play, and it's such a it's California too. Like I'm not sure. I don't know. That's just.
Well, this is so what you just said is a point that Cenk makes a lot, which is that, you know, it would draw so much more attention if there was a contested convention, right?
Well, it couldn't be contested. It would have to be like Biden was like, okay, I'm going to let Newsom come in, right?
Right. No, 100%. Yeah. He would have to dip. Yeah, right. It would. The predicate event would be him just saying, I'm not running. I'm dropping out. You all fight over the delegates. That sort of contested convention. And I do think there would be a lot of eyes on that. But the point there, I think that Cenk and others who called for Biden to drop out from the very beginning didn't factor in is, you know, they'd refer to polls where it's like, well, listen, generic Democrat beats Trump. The problem is as soon as you put a face in it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because you don't have anything bad about a generic Democrat. All you can think of are policy positions. But as soon as you start naming them in particular,
Right.
You also have to watch out too for the online discourse on this is like really cooked because any quote unquote like centrist that's criticizing any Biden cognitive thing or whatever, these people are ideologically aligned with Trump. They don't really care about Biden's cognitive stuff. Biden could be in perfect cognitive shape. They would still vote for Trump. It really doesn't matter. These people are immovable in terms of like any kind of argument about policy or anything. They just like Trump because he's epic and he roasts people on Twitter. So that all the online discourse is like super retarded as well.
Yeah, I mean, Trump didn't answer. I mean, here's the thing. Biden at least will try to substantively address questions posed to him. Again, he'll ramble. Obviously tonight, this was the worst debate I've ever seen him have by
Probably
far.
worst performance publicly ever.
100%. But he at least tried to engage with the question, as you memed and others pointed out on Twitter. Trump would, like, the next question, Trump would go back to the previous question to try to get like the last word in on Biden. If he didn't get it, he didn't answer half the questions. And to your point, it seems like people don't care about that. Certainly Republicans don't. They don't care. But yes, much of like even what I call like the centrist, like so-called like liberal mainstream media, this is something I bitch about a lot on my channel, which is it's not just, Fox. It's not just OAN. It's not just Newsmax. It's not just Rob Noor, Tim Pool, and all the others. The New York Times, like Media Matters did this like this kind of expose examining articles about Biden's gaffes compared to Trump's, and like the New York Times and CNN, all these other places, Washington Post, it was a staggering asymmetry. Like even the so-called the liberal mainstream part of the media, they grade Trump on a curve, and they do focus more on Biden, and they do expect more from Biden. But I think
that's why it's hard. It's hard because
tomorrow.
because on the left, people aren't really going to criticize Trump much on any policy position because they know that they disagree, and then the right has no standards for Trump. It doesn't really matter what he says or does. So it's a weird media environment where all of the criticism basically goes towards Biden. Like they even like half said it. They're like, yeah, the fact checker went crazy for Trump and that'll be in the record. And then that was like all I said. I was like, yeah, he didn't really answer a single question and he said a bunch of wild, crazy shit. But it doesn't even matter at this point for him. He doesn't have to say anything like that's tethered to reality at all. So, but like I said, I think this is what the Biden team has to like realize, like, okay, well, Biden needs to pick a couple good talking points, have a couple good slogans, and then just like hammer those home over and over again instead of trying to do like policy debate like he's in like a college campus or some bullshit. Yeah, it's retarded.
I'm sure you wouldn't disagree with this, but in terms of how much you make it a point, let me ask you. There was a good, I think Jennifer Rubin wrote this really good op-ed in the Washington Post like 2 weeks ago, and one of her paragraphs mentioned, for a chief executive, a good chief executive, being a good communicator is obviously like an added bonus, but being a master rhetorician is not a necessity, right? Being a great debater is not a necessity of being a competent chief executive. You debate for a living. How much would you die on that hill? Like if someone were to try to defend Biden and say, listen, this debate was terrible, but this actually is not an indictment of Biden as an executive, because that's not the point of an executive, is to be a great debater. Or would you say?
I actually disagree. I think that your stage presence and everything, I think it's actually pretty important. I think that because you're I mean, the president has more power, I think, in the United States, I think, than most like of these types of roles in other countries, I think generally.
Yeah.
But I think you're also kind of like the cheerleader for America. Like you're the guy that goes on stage, you talk, you do your State of the Unions. If you're not salty as fuck, you might even do White House correspondent dinners.
Right.
Like, yeah, I think that your presence and your ability to communicate to the world, I think is really important. Our presidents historically have had good stage presence and historically have been like decent speakers. All your Reagan memes, your Gorbachev tear down this wall, like those things are epic, and I think people appreciate that. I think that Biden's mental like faculty and his inability to communicate well on stage, especially compared to how he used to communicate, I think is a huge indictment of him, both individually and as a politician and as a president, for sure. But the thing is that like it would take. The thing is that like, if I was comparing Biden to say like Newsom or like or like a Buttigieg or literally almost any other or fucking my God Queen Hillary Clinton, I would 100% say that like, yeah, these other people, I would definitely opt more for them in terms of president. But compared to Donald Trump, like I have the choice between like a potentially senile man who is a horrible speaker and isn't the best representative of us, kind of like wacky, versus a guy who is a literal like anti-democratic, illiberal, like would try to disassemble the institutions of the United States to maintain his power forever and doesn't believe in rule of law. It's not even close, unfortunately, because the Republicans have ceased to exist in reality. Like if this debate just happened and it was Nikki Haley or whatever,
or Mitt Romney.
Or Romney, yeah. Like I would have to sit and I would have to think a bit. I'd be like, fuck, okay, maybe.
Right.
Like now I have to think. For Donald Trump, I mean, they could literally wheel Biden out with a IV bag and like a Stephen Hawking voice kit, and I would probably still opt for him just because I know the people that are behind him are going to be better than.
Right, but that right there. That's what I'm talking about. So I just want to be clear. I'm not trying to say that I want to say this. I'm not saying that communicative ability is not important. Obviously it is. You make a compelling point that as head of state, right, you're supposed to be, the president is the one national office, right? So that has buy-in from all 50 states. It's not a direct popular vote. It should be. It's not, but it's like the one national office. And so I agree that like you have to be an effective communicator, and clearly Biden was not tonight. But I mean, I guess in D&D terms, how much, if you had a certain number of points, would you assign to like debate prowess? Because like you brought up Buttigieg and Newsom. There's no timeline in the multiverse where Biden is a better debater than those two, right? But they're not necessarily better. They would not.
I just don't think it matters. It depends on what you mean by debate prowess. Because like if you put, like when you put Donald Trump on a stage with Ted Cruz was more eloquent. I think he's a better speaker. I think he brings home points more coherently. I would argue
he
that
knew more.
Yeah, absolutely. Not even close. But most people know more than Trump. Trump is not a smart man. He doesn't pretend to be. And even Rubio, arguably, but he was way younger too, I think, would trump him there. But that doesn't matter. Trump is funny. I think being funny is funny because I used to tell people this all the time. And the same red pillars that worship Trump, they're too stupid to realize it's because he's funny. But I would always say this about like me, like getting laid and shit in school and college or whatever. Like being funny, having a really good sense of humor gets you in with so many different people. So many things about your character don't matter if you can make people laugh. Truly, like it is one of the most important skills in life. And Trump just has really good stage presence. He's got good witty one-liners. He's like a funny dude to watch. He did his little tic-tac thing or whatever, the boxes and the inflation or whatever. I think that him being funny is probably responsible. I'm funny, Bill. I really think it's like responsible for the majority of his success as a politician. Because the awkward thing too that you have to make like the Trumples grapple with, but you don't because they don't care, is that like for Biden and all of his senility, how is it that a guy who can barely string together a sentence was able to shit out so much more legislation than your god emperor was? How do you ever explain that? It's like unfathomable. So like embarrassing as it might be that Biden, like was completely unable to, like present himself well on stage. Like, okay, well, what does Trump have to show for all of his cognition? Like absolutely nothing, which is mind blowing.
Precisely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you made that point on one of your Piers Morgan panels, and again, that's kind of where I fall on, which is.
But nobody cares. But,
right, it's a surplus. It's to me, it's great if you're an expert communicator, but to me, like executive management, like the ability to recruit people who are competent in their particular fields, and coordination of a team, and like setting an agenda. Biden has just objectively proven better. Like that's where. Tomorrow, if you again do that Piers Morgan thing, that's definitely going to come up, and I feel like you just got to hit that home even harder than you did the last time. Which is, Piers is the one who always says that, Trump is so funny, Trump's so witty, he's so charismatic, and all these things. I think you said the last time, it's like, well, if we were electing a stand-up comedian, that'd be great, but we're electing, an executive, but. It does seem like no one ever wants to compare the record. There was also a really good Washington Monthly expose which compared Trump and Biden on basically every policy area, domestically and foreign, and Biden trounced him. I mean, the number of things that Biden got done, like the infrastructure thing is the thing I go to the most because Trump promised that he would get an infrastructure bill done. He controlled not only both chambers of Congress, but also the Supreme Court, and he never got it done. And Biden got it done in less than 1 year. Like that is an apples to apples comparison where Biden's competence and experience comes out ahead. But yeah, I don't know how well Democrats will be able to sell that in the next couple of weeks. I know I tried to make that sales pitch on my channel, and then obviously the people who watch me like it, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem to win over a lot of centrists. Like I'm stunned. I'm stunned because if you look at the polls, Trump.
Yeah, it's because you're not funny.
It's true.
If you were funny, you get people, and they'll be on your side regardless. Just like Trump. You feel that?
Yeah, but that's why Biden just needs to focus on like that. Like when he was like, "You're a liar," like shit like that.
I was just joking, but I'm sorry.
Oh, you were just roasting. You're roasting Jessiah.
Yeah.
Nice.
He was.
Yeah, that was my intro.
Way to go, asshole.
My sense of humor died in this debate. Whatever was left of it was gone. It just died under the cringe of those 90 minutes. So
yeah.
Well,
I enjoyed it though. I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it?
I thought it was funny. Those are good moments. I like when he stutters. I like when Joanne stutters and resets and he starts buffering. And I like when Donald Trump ignores the questions and makes the faces or whatever. Like when he's like unfazed. I like when Biden he starts speaking gibberish and the insults. I think that's funny.
Yeah, the insults are funny, but do you have an appetite for like reality TV and like super cringe?
Oh
shit?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I mean, everybody
See,
does, right?
No, see, that's the thing. I could never watch reality TV growing up because like the secondhand embarrassment was over. Like, do you remember William Hung from was it American Idol, the She Bang guy? You remember that? Like one of the, he tried to sing She Bang in front of Simon Cowell and all the others.
Oh yeah,
it was,
classic.
right. It killed me. I died. That was my first death. I was reincarnated afterwards because I couldn't handle the embarrassment. Everyone else was laughing. I just thought it was super cringe. So yeah,
it's good to have a reminder that it's made for you. It's done for you, and even though it feels like a gift you don't deserve, you deserve it because you deserve to laugh, and people deserve to laugh, and they gift that to you. It's TV.
I'd like to return that gift. That was brutal. All right. Well, Stephen, good luck tomorrow. I'll be watching. It's now your turn to be Biden's strongest soldier. I believe in you.
Well, he didn't text me back yet, so maybe I don't have to go on.
Nope.
Please, God.
Yeah, you should follow up. Send a follow up text. You've got to be there. If you're not there, it's gonna be a panel with fucking Ben Shapiro, Benny Johnson, and
yeah, but it's always, and I have to deal with all these
fucking.
fucking centrists that are, like literally can barely speak because they're still like digesting Trump's last load. Like, ugh, kill me.
I'm a centrist, and I'm doing that right now actually.
That's good. I'm
Oh
glad.
God. All right. See you guys.
All right.